of our Polished Brash Toastmasters Club, and she'll get our meeting started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll have Kay kick us off. She's our Sergeant at Arms with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pledge to the allegiance of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Let's welcome our president again, Lauren Arman.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. My name is Lauren Eilman, and as Kay and Brandon mentioned, I am the president of Polished Brash Toastmasters. Welcome to our open house. We're really excited to have some guests on this call to kind of see what our club's all about and see if maybe this is a good fit for you or maybe someone on your team. So we've got a good meeting planned for you today. Our club mission is that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communications and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I'm sure we'll hear more about that today as our theme is what brought us to Toastmasters. I'll have us start off with some introductions so you can get to see who's going to be speaking today and what roles they'll be playing. So let's have our grammarian start us off with the word of the day. So let's hear from Kay again.
Madam President, as a grammarian role, I will be checking any time there are filler words like so and like, and I'll make note of it. Also, if there are interesting phrases and words, I'll make note of that too. I'll also listen for the word of the day, which has been chosen as envisage, which is a verb, means to contemplate or visualize. As used in the sentence, Polished Brash invites guests to experience a meeting and envisage the weekly club experience. Whenever any member is going to speak, I'll be listening for the use of the word of the day. Madam President.
Thank you, Kay. All right, next let's hear from our timer, Ben Hale.
Madam President, fellow Toastmaster, honored guests. My name is Ben Hale. I work for a company called Wound Vision. Right now I'm out of my home office. Today I will be the timer. My job is basically to inform our speakers today where they are in their speech in their allotted time. We have one planned speech, and then we will also have table topics. For the planned speech, it is a 5 to 7 minute speech. So what I will do to indicate timing is, and Brandon is our first speaker, when he reaches 5 minutes, and Brandon, can I confirm that we are still at 5 to 7 minutes?
That's okay. Six to 8. 6 to 8.
All right, 6 to 8. So at 6 minutes, I will make my background green. 7 minutes will become yellow, and then red at 8 minutes, telling Brandon he needs to wrap up. When we do our table topics, the timings are at 1 minute turns green, 1 minute 30 seconds yellow, and at 2 minutes we go red. I do envisage this working in our combined meeting here, our hybrid meeting. We will see. The theme of what brought us to Toastmasters, I'm sure we'll talk more about it later through the meeting. I will say technically what brought me to Toastmasters was Kirk, because he met me at the door and took me to where the room was when I first showed up. Madam President.
Thanks, Ben, and that's a great segue. Let's hear from Kirk next.
How'd I know it was coming to me? Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. My name is Kirk Stossel. I work for Cox Automotive. I will be your first evaluator today, which means I will be evaluating Brandon's speech as well as the even table topics. The reason I joined Toastmasters is because 4 years ago, roughly, I could not envisage, gosh, that's a hard word to say, envisage a day where I could speak publicly and not have a racing heartbeat, shaky hands, sweaty palms, and completely ruin whatever it is that I wanted to communicate. 4 years later, I'm happy to say that I have made significant progress on that goal, and the work is never ending. Thank you again. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster, Madam President.
Thanks for sharing, Kirk. All right, next, let's hear from Rick.
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Rick Otto. I work for Dell Technologies. I will be your Table Topics Master for today. Table Topics is a segment where we give people the chance to volunteer to do a speech that is extemporaneous. They don't have the question in advance. I'll give them the question. They have up to 2 minutes to provide an answer. It's a good time for everybody in the meeting. I look forward to it. I joined Toastmasters for the same reasons as Kirk. Unfortunately, I have not been as diligent as he in participation. I think it's been about Thanksgiving last time I attended a meeting. Darn work keeps getting in the way. I envisaged the same thing as Kirk, an improvement in my ability to speak publicly. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Rick. Next, let's hear from Saima.
Thank you, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Welcome to all of you. My name is Saima, and I work for a local nonprofit here in Indianapolis. Today, the role that I will be playing in the meeting is that of the general evaluator. And a general evaluator usually sums up the meeting at the very end, gives a synopsis of what went on, what went well, areas or opportunities for improvement, etc. I hope that this meeting turns out to be, for all of you, what you envisage it to be. For me, when I joined Toastmasters, it turned out to be more than what I envisaged, because for me, it was an opportunity to become better in communicating, obviously, but it also turned out to be acquiring this really great group of people as friends who are just like family, and we meet every week, and it's just great to see all of them and talk to them and interact with them. I hope you all have a great time today. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Saima. And next I'll have Becky come up and say some words. Thank you, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. My name is Becky Demland. I am an independent consultant, and I've been a member of the club for over 4 years. When we envisaged this meeting, we were hopeful that we would have a lot more people in the room, but COVID has reared its ugly head again, and we're thankful that we have this platform and we're able to share Toastmasters with you in this way. Today, I'll be serving as the Toastmaster, and in that role, I will work to keep us moving down the agenda so that everything moves smoothly and everybody gets back to their day on time. We're always respectful of everybody's time commitments and ability to be here with us every week. So we're looking forward to that. Madam President. Thank you, Becky. And then finally, I will be your humorous greeter today. And so I'll be sharing some facts, some jokes, and some quotes with you later on, just based on our theme for today. Now we'll get things started as we'll follow our agenda. And I'd like to, Brandon, did you want to introduce yourself? All right, you'll hear from Brandon a little bit later, but we'll get started with our agenda. I'm going to introduce our Toastmaster for today. You just heard from her, Becky Demlin. She is starting her own business, which we're all really excited for and rooting for her. And she's making some progress with that. And not only is she doing that, but her son just got a job. So we're just celebrating that. We're all very excited for her. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster for today, Becky Demland. Thank you for those celebratory words. Yes, anybody who has put kids through college can appreciate the joy that comes when you get that text from them saying, "Mom, I found a job off the payroll soon." We're very excited about that. I'm also excited about this meeting today and the theme, which is how we all found our way to Toastmasters. There's a lot of great things to talk about there. During my 4+ years with the club, I've had the great fortune to meet people who come to the club for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they've recently been promoted at work and they recognize that they have more speaking opportunities and a greater need to be polished when they're speaking in front of groups. Sometimes they see an opportunity, whether it be in their career or their personal lives, they envisage an opportunity to be more of a leader. And Toastmasters certainly provides lots of opportunities to polish up those skills as well. We'll hear more about the club members and what brought them here to Toastmasters, but I do have the great honor to introduce our speaker today, and that's where we'd like to start. Today, Brandon Garman will be speaking to us. He's a longstanding member of this club and a respected mentor for many of the members over the years. Brandon is currently working through his motivational strategies program in Pathways, which is part of the Toastmasters education program. Today, Brandon's assignment is to inspire his audience through a speech that addresses a question that is likely as old as time. Please join me in welcoming Brandon Garman. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Brandon Garman.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests. Thank you for joining us today. What's in it for me? That's a question that we ask, especially when there's time, money, or effort involved. You probably even asked yourself that question just showing up to this meeting. Today, I plan to share with you just a little bit about the Toastmasters organization and what I believe they have to offer, hopefully answering that question, what's in it for you? Toastmasters is a worldwide not-for-profit organization that focuses on improvement in the areas of communication and leadership. Delta has supported and hosted a club for the past 33 years, helping people improve in those two areas. How does Toastmasters work? Club meetings and most of all of our other activities are geared towards improvement in those leadership and communication areas. Toastmasters deploys these two pillars through their education system known as Pathways, which you heard mentioned earlier. Pathways has 11 specialized education options that you can choose from, regardless if you choose effective coaching, presentation mastery, or motivational strategies, or any of the other 8 paths that you can choose. Whenever you're actively participating in Toastmasters, you can expect to improve in the areas of communication and leadership. In regards to communication, we focus on our communication through public speaking, through giving prepared speeches, just like I'm doing right now. Each path that a person's on, it guides them through practicing a variety of speaking skills. Just like math, these skills, they become cumulative. You build one on top of another until you're able to use one skill in one speech, another skill in a different speech, until they really just become part of your communication style. Table topics. You heard that mentioned earlier. That's our impromptu part of our meeting. You'll get an example of that, but it's an opportunity to think and to speak on your feet. The Toastmasters program, it really allows everyone to progress at their own pace. Now, there are other programs out there that offer a lot of the same benefits as Toastmasters. The implementation is where it really differs. With these other programs, they offer them typically in a seminar style, where they're perhaps a half a day, maybe even up to 2 days, where they give you a lot of information, but then they say, here's the information, go ahead and implement it on your own. Whereas with Toastmasters, our club meets for about 55 minutes each week where we work on our communication style together. Feedback, That really is the second most important part of communication. It's almost as important as speaking. Each time a member gives a speech, they will receive feedback with this evaluation. That feedback will help people improve their communication, and it even helps the people that hear the evaluation. One thing you'll also learn in Toastmasters, knowing that you have to evaluate someone else at some point, your listening skills will improve as well. In regards to leadership, Pathway guides members through a variety of projects that help them build and grow their leadership skills. In Toastmasters, we believe in a hands-on approach. We think that you learn simply by doing. You can take that hands-on approach by taking on meeting roles, which several people have mentioned already in their introductions. You're able to take on leadership skills by working through these specific projects within your path. And then you can even take on leadership within a club by becoming a club officer, helping the club get through its week-through-week activities. In closing, I'd like to share with you a 2015 Washington Post article, which stated that 25% of Americans are afraid to speak in public. Let me repeat that. 25% of Americans are afraid to speak in public. Not that they're just a little nervous, they're afraid. If you have people within your group, your organization that seem to fit that bill, we believe that Toastmasters offers the opportunity to alleviate those fears. In Toastmasters, we have a saying. We say that Toastmasters helps your butterflies fly in formation. That's to say that, sure, you might be a little nervous when you speak in public, but those butterflies won't get the best of you. You'll be able to overcome those butterflies. We also know that the leadership skills learned in Toastmasters, that translates into work activities such as leading meetings and projects. We know that Toastmasters builds confidence in public speaking and with leading others. Here's our ask. If you have people within your organization, especially people that have a lot of potential, but they're just not as vocal as you'd like them to be in meetings, we believe that Toastmasters can help. What's in it for you? Improve speaking and leadership skills for the people within your team. This benefits you, especially if you're a manager. This is a personal development opportunity that you could present to your direct reports. If you're not a manager, it's just an opportunity for you to improve on your own and possibly even share Toastmasters with people within your group. Finally, Toastmasters also benefits your company by improving its talent pool. We know Toastmasters can help in those areas of communication and leadership. So please consider suggesting our group to your group. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Brandon. What a comprehensive speech. I really enjoyed it and thought a lot of those points would resonate with what brought so many of us to Toastmasters. At this time, I would like to invite our timer, Ben, to provide the timer's report.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Brandon spoke for 6 minutes, 41 seconds.
Thank you, Ben. We do think that timing is a really critical part of speech giving. It keeps you concise when you need to be. It provides limits around your thought sharing. So that's a good exercise that we keep on every time we speak. I'd like to invite our evaluator. Well, I'd like to check with our evaluator first. Kirk, do you need more time to collect your thoughts? You're all set. Very good. Now, another important component of speech giving is thoughtful feedback. And for that, I'd like to introduce today's evaluator, Kirk Stelsel.
Thanks so much, Becky. For our guests today, our goal when we give evaluations is both to call out things that the speaker did well as areas where they can improve. With some of our more seasoned speakers like Brandon, that can be a little difficult at times, but there's always room for improvement. And as an evaluator, I always try to dig deep and come up with something that is helpful for everyone. And I do have that for Brandon today. So I'm going to start off with things you did well. Brandon, some of the basics that you do well every time. You always have a great smile on your face as you speak, which I think puts your audience at ease, makes them feel like you're a trustworthy person, and it's just overall sets a good tone for your speech. And I thought you had very good volume, at least on my end. I can't hear what it's like in that room, but you came through very well on the speakers on my computer. I thought that you had a very good organization to your speech and a very good flow. It seemed to all kind of dovetail and reach the culmination of your end line there of welcoming or hoping that they'll share our team with their team. I like that line. And overall, I thought it was a really well organized speech. I thought that you did a good job of meeting your audience where they are. This speech was clearly not for those of us who are already a part of the club. It's for our guests today. And I thought that the content that you provided, the way that you provided it, how you organized it was really well done for the audience that we had for today. A few things you could have improved on. This is very minor, but when you gave the definition of what Toastmasters is, you read the definition right from the website, and I think it would have resonated a little bit better had you given us your own sort of definition of what you think Toastmasters is, or your own little take on that, rather than reading a predefined definition. You were a little, well, let me back up for a second. Brandon talked about nerves and getting the butterflies to fly in formation. And if you've ever talked to a professional speaker, they'll always say that you always have the nerves. They never go away. You just use those nerves and that energy, and you translate that into your speech, and it comes across as energy and not nervousness. Brandon, I actually, this is the first time in a while, and it's probably because we had guests, but I caught just a little bit of a quick pace at the beginning and maybe just a little hint of nerves at the beginning, which is actually, in a weird sort of way, great to hear, because it means that the work is never done and we can always do more to improve. I thought there were also a few times where you weren't quite confident in your transition of where you were going next. A couple times early on where the transitions were a little slow, but again, you found your way. You're a seasoned professional and you knew what you were doing. And the last thing I wrote, if I can read my handwriting here. Oh, your stat about fear of speaking. I felt like that maybe could have been your lead to draw the audience in. I think that it's a stat that a lot of us can relate to. I think that fear of public speaking, as your stat shows, is very common, and perhaps you could use it at the beginning just to draw the audience in. Overall, a great speech as always, and it was a pleasure evaluating you. With that, I'll turn it back over to Becky.
Thank you for that thoughtful evaluation, Kirk, and thank you, Brandon, for being our scheduled speaker today. Another point that Brandon hit on that I wrote down, because I think it's so critical for new folks to know, is that progressing at your own pace is a big part of Toastmasters. And as a busy professional myself, it was something that worried me when I joined the club, is would I be able to fit this into my schedule, and would I have time to keep up with the learning requirements? What I was pleased to learn is that Brandon's right. You progress at your own rate and based on your own commitments, so that Brandon chose this date to speak. He could pick any date based on his commitments and his ability to fit it into his schedule, so that anybody who wants to speak, nobody is really ambushed about their speaking. They know when they're going to have a scheduled speak, and they can schedule around that to make sure that they can prepare for that. But on the flip side of that is a segment that we have next on our agenda, which is called Table Topics. This is the portion Rick mentioned earlier, where we work on our impromptu speaking, not at a 6 to 8 minute level like Brandon delivered today, but on a smaller scale. At this point, I'd like to transition to that segment and introduce Rick Otto, who will transition us into Table Topics. Please join me in welcoming Rick.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As I said in the intro, Table Topics is a chance for the members to do an extemporaneous speech without knowing the topic in advance. Could I get a volunteer for the first question, please? Ben, are you going to handle the timing yourself or do you want somebody else to handle it?
I have a machine that does it, so I can do it myself.
Sounds good. My question is, the pandemic has impacted Polished Brass meetings and membership, as we all know. How else has this pandemic affected you in either a positive or a negative way?
Wow, that's a tough question, how the pandemic has specifically affected me, as it has, as you stated, Rick, that it has affected Polished Brash. Absolutely, as here we are meeting through a computer rather than in person. And certainly we have seen much more of that in my business. I work for a company that makes medical devices. So there has been a huge change in how we do business and frankly, when we've been able to do business. Many of our contracts and installations had been delayed and delayed and delayed. And then they're back on and then they're off again. And that certainly has been rough for business. Personally, we have lost 2 people, either from COVID or just from surrounding things. So personally, it's been a little tough. On the other hand, I have 2 little boys that live here in this house with me. They now go to the homeschool. My wife is the teacher. And there is something pretty great about them learning right here in this house. We've created a space for them to learn. And they are accelerating. They're excelling. They are doing a great job. And I envisage them having an even better academic career, a lot of this because we were able to spend a lot of time focusing on them and that education. And in the same time, they've become really good friends. I'd say that is probably, I mean, that's kind of the good and the bad that has come from this pandemic to myself, my company, and my home. Rick?
Thank you, Ben. How it affects the children has always been a big issue. I appreciate the response. Anybody else ready to volunteer? Okay. I joined Toastmasters as we've been talking because of anxiety with public speaking. As I said in my intro, I haven't done the best job of attacking that problem. I have not given as many speeches as I should have. What would you recommend, Kay, for members or prospective members as tools or techniques to stay engaged and keep up with giving speeches?
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest. I'm the longest in the Toastmaster in this club. I joined Toastmasters in 2001. You can calculate the years then. The success is all personal, how much you give into the program, how many times you take up the opportunity to speak whenever those opportunities come across. In a small club where there are less than 20 members, it will be every time you attend the club meeting. In a larger group, you may have to seek out that position, giving a speech or even raising your hand to volunteer for table topic. In summary, what I said that you have to give yourself an opportunity to advance. You have to jump in with both the feet and you get them wet, you experience whatever comes along with that speech that you give, whether it's a table topic or it's a grammarian report or any kind of activity that you participate, you'll get a feedback and that will make you improve on your next project. That's how I have progressed and it's still work in progress. It's never done. Every time I speak, I have to organize my thoughts. It may not come out the way I wanted it. However, next time it may come in a better way. And that's an improvement. And those are the tools that you just have to make yourself available for any opportunity if you want to improve as far as communication as well as leadership skills. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Kay. As always, that was a great response. I have a few more questions. Do we have another volunteer? Kirk. Other than Toastmasters, what groups or organizations are you a member of? What benefits do you derive from that membership or those memberships?
Thank you for the question, Rick. Wow, this list has dwindled a little bit in the last couple of years, either because some things don't exist or not possible anymore, or I just don't have the time anymore. I would say a lot of my participation these days is in the groups that my children are involved with, particularly my 6-year-old. As he gets more and more involved in things, I tend to find myself more and more involved in those things. I'll give just a couple examples. He's a 6-year-old. He is now involved in Cub Scouts. And so just this last weekend, we were at the Pinewood Derby, which meant a lot of involvement from Dad. If you've never experienced Pinewood Derby, there are some aspects to that program that are not in the scale of what a 6-year-old should be doing, such as cutting out the wood block into the shape of the car that you want. I operated the saw, he operated the hand sanding, and I let him do a little bit of the spray painting and a little bit of the hammering of the wheels. He's also involved in endless sports, baseball, soccer, basketball. We have soccer and basketball going on at the same time. So a lot of involvement with that as well. I will also mention one membership. This may not be exactly what Rick was mentioning, but one membership that I really miss that I hope to get back to is my gym membership. I've been trying to keep up with my fitness at home, and luckily we have a treadmill and some things in the basement, but I do miss getting out of the house and going to a different spot and getting my exercise in at the gym. And every time I feel like we're close to getting to the point where I'm comfortable going back, another variant pops up, some other setback pops up. And we also have a 2-year-old, and protecting her, since she can't be vaccinated, is also a top priority right now. But I do know I'll be back there at some point, and they've done an excellent job of responding to this by suspending memberships so that they will be reactivated when we come back. With that, I'll turn it back over to our Table Topics Master, Ben Hill.
Actually, I'm your Table
Oh,
Topics Master.
not Ben Hill. I'm looking at the red screen. The red screen has my attention right now. Back to Rick Otto.
So it's working as advertised. Boy, when my kids were that age, Kirk, I would say I was involved in the exact same organizations you were. Their activities equaled my activities. Let's ask the Toastmaster, do we have time for any more, or is it time to move on?
I think we should probably move on with the timers report.
Sounds good. Timers report, please.
Thank you, Rick. I spoke for 2 minutes, 13 seconds. Kay spoke for 1 minute, 53 seconds, and Kirk spoke for 2 minutes, 14 seconds.
Thank you, Ben. Let's go to the evaluators report. Who had the odd evaluations? I cannot recall. Okay.
I had the pleasure of evaluating Ben. His question was how the pandemic affected him, as we have seen it affected our club in a positive and negative way. Ben repeated the question, which is a good strategy sometimes that gives you time to organize your thoughts and what you're going to say next. He envisioned his answer and made it into a group of first negative, how it affected his colleagues who were affected by COVID or other problems. Then he went on to the positive aspect of the pandemic, staying at home, especially with his 2 children, and them getting close to each other and bonding a lot. In the summary, he also gave both negative and positive aspect of the pandemic. Only thing I would point out that we could have used some gestures, some vocal variety in your response. At times you had your eyes up towards the ceiling, organizing your thoughts. Overall, your thoughts were very well organized and you summarize in the end. Well done, Ben. Kirk, you were the next on my list to evaluate you. You also had a question about the membership, how it impacted you during this pandemic. You, in a way, repeated the question, not exactly word for word. Then you launch into your response as far as losing your gym membership, which has been a problem, but you have compensated by doing things that you missed there, and you will still long to go back. Then you went to the positive aspect of being at home and involved more with your son's activities. As a busy father, we can all visualize what you were going through making that car out of a wood block. I had to do that with my husband's help when my son was 6 years old too. It was a fun to go through those derbies. So you gave the example which we all can visualize. You had some good gestures, eye contact, and your timing was good too. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Kay, for those thoughtful evaluations. Kirk, I believe you have the one in the middle.
I do. I had the pleasure of evaluating Kay. I get to return the favor here. Kay, I thought you did a great job of jumping right into the question. For our guests who haven't had the opportunity to do this or anything like this, it can be a little daunting when you first start this process of quickly formulating some sort of response, whether it's repeating the question, stalling in some way as you put your thoughts together. It's not the easiest thing to do, but the more you do it, like anything, the better you get at it. And Kay, you did a great job of that today. I thought you had good hand movements and you got them up above the camera. It's no different than when we're speaking in person. If you just stand there with your hands at the side the entire time, you can come across a little wooden. And you had nice body language, nice movements today. And I thought you had really good eye contact throughout. My only suggestion for you today was it seemed like maybe about a minute in, you said in conclusion. And I was like, wow, she's going to conclude real early today. But then you kept going all the way to practically 2 minutes, or I can't remember if you hit 2 or we're just over 2. So I think a couple of things. Number one, as a aspiring speaker, but also as a writer, I try to never use the words in conclusion. I just feel like you can get that across without actually saying the words. And then, like I said, you were just a little bit early on it too. I felt like you had a lot more to add after you said that. So I think overall you could have probably just done without it. That's the only thing I have for you today. Overall, a very successful table topic speech, and I appreciated the opportunity to evaluate you today. And with that, I will turn it over to.
Let's just go straight to the table. Let's go right back to the Toastmaster.
Okay, back to our Toastmaster.
Becky.
Thank you very much to Rick, our table topics master, and to all of our participants, both speakers and evaluators. Now we're transitioning to one of my favorite parts of the meeting. Please join me in welcoming our humorist greeter for today, Lauren Eilman.
I always envisage I'm going to come up here with these great jokes that are going to kill. And then I always find one good joke and that's it. So you will get one joke from me today, but I also have some facts and a quote as promised. My facts for today are the 7 benefits of public speaking. And I think people who are in this club might be able to relate to a lot of these, and maybe this will resonate with some of you who are joining us as guests. The 7 benefits of public speaking are career advancement, boosting confidence, learning critical thinking, personal development, improved communication skills, new social connections, and expanding your professional network. I know a lot of these are really true for me. I actually got a promotion this year and it was really exciting. And I think that this club really benefited with that, which was the #1 career advancement was one of the benefits. Now, as far as jokes go, did you know there are public speaking potatoes? Nothing special, really. They're just commentators. I know that one was corny. Okay, but I do have a good quote. It was wrongly attributed to Mark Twain, so I'm not sure who did say it, but there are only two types of speakers in this world, the nervous and the liars. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lauren, for that perfect mix of informative and entertaining. Now I'd like to invite our grammarian to tell us how we did today with our wordsmithing. Kay, would you like to provide the grammarian's report?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. As far as the word of the day goes, envisage, I may not be able to pronounce it even right after the end of the meeting. Everyone used it. A couple of us used 2 times. Filler words, I'll start with Ben. He had a couple of so's. Kirk had 1 but and 2 so's and 2 ends. Rick had 1 end, and I like the word diligent that you use. Saima, I didn't hear any filler words in your speech. Becky, you had just 1 but, and I like ambush, which you used. Lauren, you had a couple of ends and 1 R. Brandon, you had great pauses. 1 pause was a little bit longer, I thought. Overall, no filler words. I like the motivation strategies. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Kay. And now, if we could have our general evaluators report to tell us how we did with our meeting today, please join me in welcoming Saima Hassan.
Thank you, Becky. I think we had a great meeting today. We started on time, and it's always a little bit of a challenge to host a hybrid meeting with half of the members at the Delta location and half of us joining online. But I think Brandon got a grip on the communication issues, and we were able to get off to a good start. I enjoyed Brandon's speech, even though we've heard different versions of it before, but every time Brandon seems to come back with a new twist and new additions to it. So it was a good mix of the information that he presented. And I love the fact that the 25% of Americans have a fear of public speaking. It had a huge impact. The feedback of the evaluators was really wonderful as well. It was very thoughtful and insightful and offered a lot of ways in which the speakers could improve. Other than that, the table topics, I thought, Rick, were also a great mix of questions. The questions were not too hard, but they were not that easy either. And the participants were able to do a good job in talking about them and expressing their ideas as well. It was great to have the guests, of course. Welcome once again. I hope you had a good meeting. Overall, it was a great meeting. Back to you, Becky.
Thank you very much for everybody who fulfilled a role today. At this point, I'd like to hand the meeting back to our club president, Lauren.
Thank you, Becky. Thanks everyone for joining us. We had another great meeting today. And we've got some time for Q&A. We normally don't do this, but we wanted to give you a chance to ask some questions of us. But before we do that, I just wanted to introduce our officers for the club. So they kind of help, as my role as a president, and the other officers kind of help keep the club going and just some of the administrative tasks. It's also a really great opportunity to work on those leadership skills, which is one of the things that our club offers. So as stated, I'm president of the club. We've got Kirk Stelsel, who is our vice president of education. Becky Demland is our vice president of membership. Ben Hale is our vice president of public relations. Saima Hassan is our secretary. Brandon Garman is our treasurer. And Kay Patel opened us up as our sergeant at arms. So those are our officer roles. And so I'll just open the floor. If there are questions, we'll answer those. And then we also have some things we could discuss if there aren't any. So does anyone have questions for us that we could help answer? Brandon, do you want to start us off maybe talking about dues and fees and what that kind of looks like? All right, I'll turn it over to Brandon.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Dues and just the dues and fees that they can expect.
Okay. That's what I thought you said. Just wanted to make sure. Just to tell you a little bit about joining Toastmasters, the fees involved in that. To start off, there is a $20 membership fee. It's a one-time fee. It's really all for administrative work. Then our bi-monthly or bi-yearly dues are $45. And like I said, those are paid twice a month. If you are a Delta employee, you will get reimbursed that $45 that first time that you pay it. Going forward, if you join Toastmasters, we will just pay that for you. You won't have to pay any money. But then there's also club fees that are club dues that we also have. Those are $6 every 6 months as well. And those help us with some administration fees or some administration items as well, such as paying for a Zoom account. Go right ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, Brandon, I think you said bi-monthly for the fees. It's biannual, but twice a year, not twice a month.
Thank you. Thank you.
So $51 every 6 months. Best deal out there.
Right. And for those of you that aren't employed by Delta, we know that other companies also offer a similar benefit by reimbursing or even paying for those dues upfront. A lot of companies see the benefit in improving their talent pool, as I mentioned in my speech earlier. Any other questions for the group? We kind of gave you just a demo meeting. This is just a slightly shorter version of the normal meeting that we have, but all the elements that you saw in the meeting is what you see in a normal meeting. We have someone that's working on a speech, working towards some particular skill. You've got that impromptu speaking. The thing that we really like about our club is just being able to gather together, to be able to learn more about each other. That's the one thing that I always say. Whenever somebody speaks in our club, whether it's a speech or table topics, we learn more about them. I really enjoy that aspect, that social aspect. The thing that I miss the most is for us all to be together in the same room. And I will also say that some of the technical difficulties or challenges we have a second video source so that you can see everybody in the room that's here with us. However, that second video source failed. It's worked in the past, but for whatever reason, we had some troubles with that today. Any other questions that anyone has about Toastmasters or Wendy?
Hi, Brandon. So I'm curious, I see how the format of the meeting plays out. At what point would we, as a new Toastmaster, learn the rules and learn what's expected?
Sure. One thing I can say about our meetings, they are very similar meeting to meeting. The structure is pretty much the same every time, but it's a little different just based on our themes and what speech that person is working on. Typically, whenever a new person joins our club, we join them up with a mentor, somebody that's in our club that helps them acclimate to our club, understand what our standards are, understand a little bit more about Toastmasters in general so that you can have a better understanding of what happens. You might see something or hear something and think, well, why did that happen? Your mentor can help you understand a little bit better about some of the things that we do and why we do them. One thing that we often do in our meetings, we clap a lot because we do that to try to motivate each other. It loses a little bit of something when in the video, because when you're on screen, we kind of do this for clapping instead, which you may have seen a mix of that, but we try to be enthusiastic about everything that we do. And that's something that your mentor would probably, in a normal meeting, they might sit next to you and tell you a few things about what's happening in the meeting. But in this case, you probably would just have to have a discussion afterwards. But we like to pair everybody up with a seasoned person of our club.
Okay, thank you. And so the pathways, is that something completely different? The pathways that you mentioned?
Pathways is our education program. Everybody that joins Toastmasters joins or picks out a path. As I said, there's 11 paths that you can choose from. One thing I think I failed to mention in my speech is you take an online assessment. It only takes really about 5 minutes, and it will suggest to you, here are the 3 paths that you, based on your responses, here are the 3 paths that we suggest. You don't have to take those suggestions. You might like another path. And you can see a little bit of the information on each path. There's a lot of overlap with some of the paths, but some of the paths have specific projects and speech goals for you to reach based on that path. I hope that answered a little bit. That might be a little confusing, but.
So are they separate meetings? Or is it?
Everybody's on their own path, and we all work on our separate paths in the one meeting that we have each week.
Okay, I
So
understand.
it's you're ongoing working, and once you finish that path, you can move on to another path.
So the
Something-
paths are video.
There is a website that you would go to within Toastmasters, and it helps you understand, here are all the tasks, the speeches, the projects within that particular path that will help you understand
Okay,
what are the requirements of that path.
okay, okay, thank you. Sorry, that was a lot of questions.
No problem. That's why
Something
we're here.
I want to say to maybe help kind of understand that as part of the path, you are given basically speeches to give. And just as Brandon gave that prepared speech today, maybe next week or week after, I know I need to schedule one. In the coming weeks, my next speech in that path will be something I give to this club in the same format that we just had. And I'll be evaluated as well on that. And my topics and what I speak about may change, and even some of the formats of how those speeches are done changes based on what path you're on and what step you're in that path.
Okay,
And one other thing I'll mention about speeches in general, you can speak about anything that you would like. There might be a goal for you to reach for your speech, but how you or what you give that speech on, it's completely up to you. Most of us speak about things that we're familiar with, experiences that we've had, and we incorporate the goals of our speech into what we're speaking about. But you'll have an opportunity to speak virtually on anything you'd like to speak on. You don't have to speak on a specific topic ever.
okay,
And also I'd like to add that all the paths focus on different areas of strength of communication. So for example, when I started my pathways journey, I chose the pathway called presentation mastery. And that basically meant that I wanted to get really good at making presentations at work. You could, so that and within that path, there are a specific set of speeches that I had to do, which focused on getting better at presentations. Somebody else could have chosen another path which could focus on, for example, there's another path that I finished the first month, and now I'm starting on visionary communication, and that has a different set of speeches on it. And somebody who wants to focus on becoming a better coach, they would choose another pathway. I forgot what it's called, but basically all the pathways focus on different areas of strength of communication.
great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions we might be able to answer for the group here before we finish up? Certainly for those of you that know me, you feel free to reach out. I'll be glad to try to provide any additional information. At this point, I'll turn the meeting back over to our president, Lauren.
Brandon. And I just wanted to add, I know Becky mentioned this, but a lot of us here have been in Toastmasters for many years, but we're happy to have any level of member join us. You could be a novice, you can be an expert, any level. We're all supporting each other, trying to all become better wherever we're at. So I know meet people where they're at. So I know that can be intimidating coming into a club with people who are really good at speaking, or, oh, they're so good. That's how I felt when I joined. But there's no worries, because everyone is always so supportive and making you feel like you're progressing and making those gains in your communication skills. So that's been a huge benefit to me to get that confidence I really needed. And then with that, I guess we will wrap up. But I know, Becky, do you want to mention anything about just following up or how to become a member?
You can just tell us that as VP of membership, I will send a follow-up email to everybody who attended today, and happy to answer questions as a result of that.
Okay, so I don't know if you caught any of that. Becky said that she'll send an email to all of you who joined us today, following up with some information about how you can look into possibly becoming a member. If you want to come back and join us next week, we meet every Wednesday. We're happy to have you join us as a guest or as a member if you want to join, but you can come back anytime and check it out. We're always happy to have people here and participate in our meetings. And with that, I will conclude our meeting for today. Thank you everyone for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Whew.
Good job, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ben.
Ben.
Great job, sir.
Becky, if you're still there, did you give those email addresses?
Yes, I wrote them all down. I have one question. There was one person that I didn't recognize, but I'm gonna ask Brandon.
Okay, so we're good. Yep.
All right, see you guys
Thanks, Ben.
later.